Idaho Falls is in the middle of the mayor election right now, and it's getting wild out there. There's a lot of debate, a lot of community involvement, and the race is close. So I decided to interview the mayor candidates myself. So this video is all about that. I interview both candidates back to back. This is not a debate, and this is not biased. This is more of a let's get to know who wants to be mayor, why they want to be mayor, and talk about the real estate market and the growth in Idaho Falls and what they plan to do with that growth if they get elected as mayor. This was a great interview with both Jeff and Lisa. I'm super grateful for them. I'm also grateful for Ankuur Studios who let us use their studio for this interview. And the purpose of this interview really is to give you an unbiased way to view the candidates. That's not a debate, it's low pressure, so that you can make your informed decision if you're here in Idaho Falls. And for those of you who are just watching from afar, this is what's going on. These are our candidates, and we'll let you know who wins after December 2nd. So without further ado, let's get started on these amazing interviews. So Jeff, go ahead and introduce yourself and let's get started.
Yeah, thank you, Annika. Yeah, my name is Jeff Aldridge. I'm a candidate for mayor of Idaho Falls. So wonderful to have this time to sit down and answer some questions.
I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you. And thank you to Ankuur Studios for letting us be in this beautiful studio.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
I feel so professional. It's great. So first, just tell me a little bit about you. Where are you from? What's your work background? And why are you running for mayor?
Yeah, no problem. So I always say that you don't get to choose where you're born, but you can choose where you move. So I'm from originally Washington State, and I work in the technology industry. I found my niche when I worked at a startup. And for the last 15 years, I've been at a publicly traded company. So we're a global company, about 7,000 people worldwide. And I chose to move to Idaho Falls purposefully because I didn't like the direction that Washington was going. And I wanted to be in a community that's valued families, that's really had a sense of community. And when we found Idaho Falls, we just fell in love with it. So just because my kids were born in a different state, that's not where I wanted to raise my kids. I wanted to raise my kids in a community just like Idaho Falls.
I love that. And what do you love specifically about it? What made you fall in love?
It's really the family-friendly nature of this area. Okay. It's just so great. It's when we came and visited, it's just those little things, those little intangible things. Kids riding their bikes, families out for walks, all that sort of stuff.
Okay. So it's the overall culture and the feel that you just love.
Very much so. It's got a nicer, slower pace of life that values families.
Yeah, I love that. So now that you're here for long term, why did you choose to run for mayor?
Well, started running from I wasn't even considering it because I'm not a politician, but just started to see little frustrations happen, and I've seen this pattern before. So I moved back to my hometown in Washington because I thought that would be great. I'll raise my kids in the same environment that I grew up in, and it's a neighborhood community where people don't work there; they live there and they commute out. Okay. And over time, just by the choices that the leadership was making, we started seeing much more density, and we started seeing more traffic and more crime, and the quality of life just kept going down and down and down. And it got to the point where it wasn't the community that I grew up in anymore. It just happened to be another place where people happened to live. And I started to see some of the same patterns happen here in Idaho Falls. And this is kind of like a little sign. It's like, whoa, I've seen this before. I don't want this to happen. I think the people who were born here in Idaho Falls stay here for what it is. And the people who choose to come and be a part of it come because of what it is. And we're starting to see some of that community kind of start to go away. And we want to make sure that as we grow, that we make sure that we do it in a responsible way that still preserves and reserves that quality of life and that community feeling that makes us all want to be residents of Idaho Falls.
Sounds like that you really care about your community and where it's headed, and you want to make sure it's headed in the right direction. So as a realtor, I'm sure you get a lot of questions like this. But that I'm finding that a lot of families that are trying to find a house, an affordable house, it's getting harder and harder for young families.
Yeah.
So what kind of policies or approach would you take to help young families get into home ownership?
Yeah, that's becoming increasingly difficult. So the latest budget that the city put out said that the median income for Idaho Falls is about 63,000, and the median home price is 420,000. So doing just basic math, if you wanted to be appropriate and only spend 30% of your income on housing, with the current interest rates right now, you'd have to make $109,000 to comfortably purchase a house at $420,000. So that gap for the median household income currently versus the house attainability is really wide.
Right.
And so what we need to do is work with community-minded developers and let them know, as a city, this is what our goal is. Our goal should be for people to be able to purchase homes, because that's a great investment in the community. That it's a great investment for the individual, because they're able to gain generational wealth. They're building equity, right? And your first home is what enables you to buy that second home as you grow in your career and your family grows.
Yeah.
And we want to try to find pathways for people to not just be renters always. And so if we know what our average median income is, or median income, we can work with developers to say, like, this would be the most accessible pathway for people to be able to purchase homes here in Idaho Falls. So what can we do? What can we do to encourage that? Can we reverse engineer and figure out what the appropriate cost would be for purchasing a home that is accessible for the median resident here in Idaho Falls?
Okay. So working with developers locally to create more affordable options.
Yeah.
What about just cost of living, or like income?
Yeah.
Like, is there anything to be said about the wages in Idaho Falls?
And that's the other thing that we need to work on, is to figure out how we can spur commerce here in Idaho Falls. We have so many good things going for us, from Idaho Falls Power. And I don't understand, and even INL, there's so many smart, brilliant people here. I don't see why Idaho Falls couldn't be another Silicon Slopes. Like, it would be amazing to bring in high-paying jobs that would benefit the community in so many ways, whether you're working for them directly or indirectly. So if we can help improve wages, right, by bringing in and being a really attractive place for people to do business, and work with developers to make sure that the homes that we're trying to encourage and build are accessible, those are two ways that we can definitely help with getting people stability.
And speaking of housing and affordable housing, the talk of the town are those dang apartment buildings.
Sure, yeah.
You know, some people are really up in arms about it. So
Yeah.
what do you have to say about all the apartment buildings going up? What's the overall impact it might have?
Yeah, the hard part with apartments is there's always a time and place for apartments. And there are certain areas in the city that definitely make sense for that. On the west side, over by the freeway, Snake River Landing and Jackson Hole Junction, I talk about those all the time, because those are examples of great places to add density. So those are part of a redevelopment district. And as they were building it, they purposely put in the proper infrastructure, roads, and amenities that made sense for that type of housing. And what it did is it didn't disrupt existing neighborhoods. So the character of those neighborhoods wasn't disturbed. They weren't adding traffic to neighborhood streets that weren't designed for that. And so you really were able to service and benefit both kinds of living. So the high density is more attractive to be over there. And then for existing neighborhoods, it was better to preserve those. We want to respect people who have invested in this city. Where I think most people have discomfort is when they have invested into a home, they've been here for so long, and all of a sudden, on the other side of their fence, looking down on them, there's a 3-story apartment building, and they feel that their quality of life has gone down and that their home value has gone down, and that's not what they were anticipating. And so that's what we need to be weary of, or aware of, is we need to make sure that we're helping guide growth in a proper way. So it's not to say that we're against apartments, but we need to make sure that they're in the proper time and they're in the proper place that benefits our community.
Okay, and what would the proper place be?
Oh, definitely like those areas like Snake River Landing and Jackson Hole Junction, where areas where you can build in the infrastructure, build in the amenities that make sense for that without disturbing existing neighborhoods.
Okay.
And a good example I actually is over by over by Home Depot
Mhm.
on Holmes and 25th.
Mhm.
There's a 55 acres, and it's going to be a ton of apartments right on the north side of Community Park. And on 25th, it's only a 2-lane road with a nice median in the middle. And that's already pretty busy during rush hour with the existing neighborhoods that are already there. And then if you ever go there in the summertime when it's baseball season, it is really hard to find parking for Community Park. And so it's going to be worrisome to see what happens when there are that many new residents in that area already squeezed into a place that is already congested.
Okay. So you feel like that is not the
That
appropriate
is
place.
not the appropriate place.
And you would like to prevent that, is what you're
Correct.
saying. Okay. Well, a lot of people are also saying that we're going to just turn into another Boise. The growth is rapid, and they're worried that it's going to turn into a major metropolitan. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I hope that's not the case. See, that's one of those ones where, like my hometown, it lost its community character and just became another place that people happen to live. And if we keep going down this route, I would hate for us to lose that community and become like a Boise, where it's just another place where people happen to live. I would hope that we make our city attractive, and we have accessibility for all types of residents who come here, and that they want to come here for the right reasons, for what we are, right? Rather than just like, well, that's the biggest city over in Southeast Idaho. I'd hope they want to be a part of what makes Idaho Falls so special.
Okay. What do you think is a necessary growth for this area? Like, if we don't want to have too many apartment buildings or too many stores, too many city-like things, what is necessary growth?
Yeah, the easiest one to do is really look at the infill. So there's a lot of pockets within Idaho Falls. If you were to look at the city proper, there's a lot of old fields that historically have been outside of the city limits. And as those get annexed in, those are really easy to develop and help our city grow because the infrastructure is already there. There's the surrounding city streets, there is power, there's sewer, and so it makes it very easy, because what we don't want to do is necessarily just do sprawl.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that becomes complicated is, like, even if we did do sprawl, if you start pushing out to the boundaries of Bonneville County, we have less ability to help guide even the roads that are on the outside. So county roads are only 50 feet wide. And for a city, we want to have 100 feet wide. But if we build up to the edge of the border of our city, from the middle of the street over, we can cut into private property to help maintain growth. But from the county side, we're much more limited. And so as we need to be mindful as we start pushing out to those boundaries, is that we have less influence of how we can expand or how we can work on roadways and that type of thing.
Okay. And speaking of infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
if we are growing,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds like you don't want us to grow so fast, but maybe at a healthy rate that's good for the city, what is to be done about the infrastructure? Is there any concerns about electrical grid, water supply, you name it?
That's a good question. I think there's two parts to it. So from what I understand, talking with the directors, I think there's, from an infrastructure point of view, there's always the visible and the invisible parts of it. I think the invisible parts, those are the things we don't see, like the power in the sewer. I think we have manageable growth for that. Like, we have capacity. Like, with our sewer system, we have 40% capacity. With power, we're right around there, right? So we know we have to offset some power, and that's why they've invested into generators to provide more power on peak times. But when it comes to the visible infrastructure, I think those are the things that we see every day, like traffic. And that's just a hard one, because to fix that, it takes a lot of resources, it takes land, it takes time. And as you make those investments to either expand lanes or whatever you have to do, it becomes a physics problem. Mm-hmm. You're going to offset people, and it's going to be difficult. This year, I think Public Works did a really good job finishing a lot of roads. But if you remember last summer, when there was all those different constructions that are going on, and you're like, okay, I guess I have to divert over to this road. And it's like, oh, that road's being worked on too. And it became a little bit silly sometimes trying to get around town. Yeah. But that's more the biggest fear is those pain points that people face every day within our infrastructure, particularly around traffic.
Yeah, I've noticed it. I mean, I've been here for going on 5 years,
Mhm.
and just in the last 5 years, there's a lot more
Oh
cars
yeah,
on the road. And I had wondered if it had something to do with COVID and people are coming out of their houses now and they're not all
maybe.
shut up, or
That's
maybe
yeah,
it is because
maybe.
of the growth
Yeah.
and nobody wants traffic.
No, no. It's always hard when you kind of know like, oh, it takes me this long to get to this area, but then you have to go there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You're like, what is taking so long?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there is also some talk about the rivalry between Bonneville County and Idaho Falls and Ammon. And I don't know if you see that, but I see it online. And,
Sure.
I told my neighbor, I live in Idaho Falls now, and
Yeah.
I told him that I was thinking about moving to Ammon. He's like, oh no, we won't tell anyone.
Traitor.
Yeah. And so I was just curious, what your plan is to collaborate or to play nice, so to
Yeah.
speak, with those others.
I think we have a wonderful new opportunity. So Ammon has a new mayor, so it's Brian Powell, and with the new mayor, whoever happens to be, hopefully myself. But we have a new opportunity to reset that relationship. There really shouldn't be a rivalry. We should be partnering because I think most people maybe don't even know, or don't care necessarily. I think it's always fun to have a friendly rivalry, right? When you have
Sure.
a sports team, you kind of rag your friend about their team of choice, but there should be a healthy partnership in there because this whole area benefits. If Ammon is healthy, that benefits Idaho Falls. If Idaho Falls is healthy, that benefits Ammon, and of course that benefits Bonneville County as a whole. So it really shouldn't be a rivalry as much as it should be a partnership. And I think with new leadership on both sides, I think that's a great opportunity for us to move forward.
And what would that look like, building that relationship from the beginning?
Yeah, is really partnering to figure out, okay, what are your goals, what are our goals, and how can we make sure that we're benefiting each other, and also not stepping on each other's toes. When the 17th Street Bridge over on the Ammon side shut down for so long,
Mm-hmm.
that affects Idaho Falls a lot. It affects obviously people in Ammon, but it affects a lot of people who live in Idaho Falls, who do business in Ammon. And so those are one of those things where, well, yeah, that's an Ammon responsibility, but it affects us. So if we know what we're doing, right, and we can forecast that, we can make sure that we're not hurting each other, that we can have a win-win on both sides.
Awesome. Okay, now here's the big question.
Okay.
This is probably the most important question
Okay.
of this whole interview is, what do you think Idaho Falls' biggest issue or concern is, and how would you plan on addressing that issue?
The biggest issue or concern. I definitely think growth is probably one of the biggest ones that people feel. People feel every day. But the other one I think is that trust in relationship with the current the city. I think that's the ratings are very low. So the city did an NCS livability study, and it shows that the trust in leadership is very low, that they think that they're not transparent. And I think the city needs to go out of its way to ensure and regain that trust and rebuild that trust with people. We need to reach out and find new ways for us to learn from the citizens. Like, how can we do better? What are we doing? And we can do this. We don't have to just focus on the negative. There's obviously these things that we're doing great. So it'd be great to get feedback and say, like, hey, do more of this, maybe less of this. Maybe we can learn from these sort of things. So rebuilding that trust and relationship with the city government and the people is a huge opportunity and concern that we need to work on.
Now, this is just to end the interview, is what are you looking forward to seeing happening in Idaho Falls?
I look forward to, I think it goes back to the thing. I would love to see the community get more engaged and more involved. I think over time, people have felt like their voice didn't really matter, and it promoted disengagement. And so I love to see more people get involved and be part of this community, and that's how we can keep and maintain that wonderful neighborhood community feel that I think has drawn us all here.
Sure. And how do we help people feel like their voice does matter?
Really give them the opportunity to address their concerns, and it could be intimidating. So and find new realms. So not just a city council meeting where you have your set amount of time, but really establish new areas that's maybe not so formal, and you can have that two-way conversation. And so and make sure it's as accessible as possible too, right? So it's not on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, but make it so that people can really come and voice their concerns and really honestly, earnestly listen and provide that two-way communication back and forth.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about life in Idaho Falls and you as a person?
Oh, no, I appreciate that. No, this is a wonderful community. This is when we made that decision, we made that big leap of faith to come out here. It has been the best decision we've ever made for our family. This community and the relationships and people we've gotten to know here have been such a blessing. And it's been amazing to be able to serve this community in so many different ways, and just to be blessed by the community and blessed back. So I'm just so thankful. Love Idaho Falls. Thank you so much for this time. This has been great.
Of course. And thank you so much for your time, Jeff. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? My name is Annika Wilder. I'm a local realtor here in East Idaho. If you're new to my channel and you want to know all there is to know about life in Idaho Falls and the surrounding areas, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll be the first to know when I put out a new video like this every single week. And if you're thinking about moving to Idaho Falls or the surrounding area, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or schedule a Zoom call, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about this area. All right, let's get to the next interview.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for being with me today. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Glad to be here.
So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you, your work background, your life, family, and why you decided to be mayor.
So Lisa Burtenshaw, and I have lived here my entire life other than just a few years away for school. I come from a family, we had 7 children.
Wow.
And I grew up on kind of the east side of town. And then I have a degree in mechanical engineering. So I went to BYU. I have a degree. And then my husband went to dental school. We moved back to Idaho Falls, and we've been here since 2002.
Nice.
So my whole life, a little bit of time away and now back. I served on the PTO when my kids were young, and then on the school board. And then through COVID, I actually wasn't in any kind of elected position, which was really lucky for me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't on the school board or on the city council. And then after COVID, because of the resignation of Shelley Smead, I was appointed to the Idaho Falls City Council, and I then had to run for election. So I've been for about 4.5 years.
Wow.
On the city council.
You've been heavily involved in the community for a long time.
I have been involved in the community for a very long time.
That's great. What originally interests you in getting involved in like smaller places like schools? Like what motivates you to do that?
The need is just great for volunteers.
Okay.
Most things get done with volunteers, I feel like.
Yeah,
so there, cookie dough sales to build a pathway, and then that becomes some playground equipment, and then before you know it, you're on the city council running for mayor. So anyway, but no, in all seriousness, when you are around people who are service oriented, there's just a larger group of people, and then a larger group of people that you end up working with.
Yeah.
And so that is what kind of was my trajectory.
Awesome. I love that. So it sounds like also a little bit of a comfort level, but we were also talking a little bit earlier how this is a growth opportunity.
This is a growth opportunity running for mayor. Yes, it is. It's been good though. It's really good to get out outside of my comfort zone. I am a little more comfortable now in front of a camera. I've started posting Instagram posts, in a genuine effort to put myself out there in a way that I think people expect to get information.
I love that.
So it was intentional.
That's good. So why mayor though? Why not stay on city council or those other places? Why mayor?
So my technical degree and my mind, why I got the technical degree, it really does suit me as a problem solver.
Okay.
As that lifelong resident, I've watched as growth has both boomed and then died off and then come again. And I want to be able to manage that so that we don't lose what is special about Idaho Falls.
Great.
So it's not about stopping growth. It's about being able to say, here is the growth. What do we need to make sure that Idaho Falls remains special? Mm-hmm. Infrastructure, the water, the sewer, the park system, all of the things that we enjoy as residents of Idaho Falls, to make sure that we grow with it and not just let it consume us.
I love that. And speaking of what makes Idaho Falls special, What do you think makes Idaho Falls special? What are your favorite parts about it, and what keeps you in Idaho Falls?
For me and my family, a lot of it is the tight-knit community, neighbors, looking out for neighbors, and the outdoor opportunities
Okay.
that Idaho Falls brings. There, for a community our size to have kind of the vibrant art scene in the Willards Art Center, in what's going to be the Frontier Center, all of that together, and then you add how much we love to hike and ski and bike. We just live in an amazing place with great neighbors. So we don't want to go in. We are not going anywhere else.
I love that. Do you like the outdoor recreation personally?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes. I am definite. I would choose to be outdoors as opposed to indoors all the time.
What are your activities of choice?
Hi, all of it. So you've got your winter sports,
Yep.
which I would say, okay, so winter sports would be snow skiing, cross country, downhill, backcountry. And then summertime, it's hiking and biking, road and mountain.
Great.
We do a lot in both the Tetons and in Island Park.
Cool. I love that. And how would you describe the culture? You said tight-knit communities, or anything else you'd add about the culture here?
Mostly that I think we're really family friendly. I think that the city does a good job partnering with organizations to bring people down to the river to do big family kind of events. I think we can do more of those as a community, not just the city, but like this weekend we're doing the tree lighting ceremony.
Yes.
So those are
fun.
those are good opportunities. The farmers market is a great opportunity on weekends. Those are the vibrant pieces of the town that actually didn't exist when I was growing up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Did not exist. So now that it's here, I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And speaking of families, I'm a realtor and I help a lot of families move here, move within the area. And I'm finding that it's harder for young families to afford housing, of like buying their own house.
Yes.
What do you think you could do, or what would your approach be to help people find affordable housing so people can have ownership?
It is a good question. And there are, the city has limited tools to try and help with that.
Okay.
But there has been a lot of concern about growth and apartments.
Yeah.
I think that I lived in an apartment for 10 years. So I think that apartments are kind of a good starting, it is a starting place for people. And then I think that there is also a misperception about sometimes it is single family attached condos that actually are a great starting product for first time homeowners. It's something that, once again, Idaho Falls hasn't maybe seen a lot of.
Yeah.
And so now those are becoming more readily available. And I think people look at those as like, oh, more apartments. But actually, they're on their own deeded property.
Yeah.
And so they can purchase and get a foot into the game.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I can tell there's a question after that.
No, I think that's a good point. So you're basically saying that not all the apartment buildings that are going up, which I know everybody's talking and freaking out about, that they're not all for renting. That some of these that are being supplied, I guess you could say, to Idaho Falls is to get your foot in the door to ownership. So it might not be the traditional single family home because of cost or income or whatever it is, but there is an opportunity for people to have ownership, just in a different way.
Yes.
Okay.
Another thing, just for your viewers to know, is that the city of Idaho Falls also owns Idaho Falls Power.
Okay.
And there are energy savings that can happen through Idaho Falls Power to make your home more energy efficient. And so sometimes the prohibition to get into a home is not just the mortgage, but it's everything else that comes along with it.
Sure.
And so there is opportunity through Idaho Falls Power to get energy efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that maybe that is another way to help with affordability.
Okay. And then speaking of apartments, I mean, I know this is something that the locals, I hear a lot that they don't like, and I'm sure there's some that aren't bothered by it at all. But the loud ones are the ones that say, no more apartment buildings. And so what is your take on the apartment buildings going up? Obviously, there's an avenue of ownership for some of these condos, but what about just, it seems like they're popping up everywhere. This is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yes.
What is your approach on that?
So for sure, they are market driven. That is, that the free market and personal property rights are bringing apartments here. My approach is that apartments belong in a city and not outside of the city. If apartments are built outside of the city, say in Bonneville County, then city residents have to pay the cost for the streets, for the police. When people come into town, it's Idaho Falls that pays for the police, for the fire. And so I think that apartments density belongs in the city because you can't get those kind of city amenities outside. So you have to come into the city. And then I also think they need to be near major roadways and near commercial.
Okay.
So that you would start with your single family home, traditional, in the interior of a neighborhood, less traffic, and then as you move further out to the busy streets, that is where both multifamily and commercial belong. It's actually how Idaho Falls has been being built for generations.
Okay.
In neighborhoods, moving out towards busy streets, towards commercial.
Okay, so you're saying that they're not just popping up apartment buildings wherever there's free land. There's actually strategy behind it in where they're putting them.
They are happening on a lot of empty lots that we call infill, that had a barrier to development because maybe they had lava rock, basalt, and so in order to make them profitable for the landowner, then it's like, well, we can put multifamily here, and so infill is really a great place because they're already in the city.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that it's such a conversation that people have.
It is.
People have a lot of opinions about it. I'm sure you're hearing a lot about it. I think people are just worried that we're turning into a big metropolitan, and they're saying we're going to be the next Boise, and they don't want to be the next Boise. So what's your take on, like you said in the beginning, kind of preserving what's special in Idaho Falls? How do we do that when we are growing?
We build in neighborhoods. That's how we build. We build neighborhoods so that neighborhoods do have parks and schools and churches and amenities. So instead of everybody having to come in, like I love using Eagle Road in Boise. I do not want to create an Eagle Road in Idaho Falls. We can build in neighborhoods, and once the rooftops happen, then commercial comes in. And so we have to continue to preserve corridors for commercial, so that we can continue to build in neighborhoods and then have access through our trail systems.
Do you see us becoming like Boise anytime soon?
I do not see us becoming like, I don't want to become like Boise. So, I mean, and I don't really see, the growth is happening.
Yeah.
But I think that we can have a regional response with our county commissioners and with Ammon City Council and Mayor. We should have a regional response to growth so that it isn't hodgepodge. So no, I don't really see us becoming Boise.
Okay. And with the growth, it seems like there's a lot of just kind of natural growth. I talked about this on one of my videos with Forrest Eiler, actually, with planning and zoning. And he said that it's growing at a very healthy rate. And so it's just natural. This is good for our local economy to have growth, is what he was saying. But what about infrastructure? I'm noticing more traffic. Are we concerned about the electric grid or water supply or anything like that?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We are not worried about our electric supply. I can tell you that we have just signed our 20-year agreement with Bonneville Power. City of Idaho Falls owns and operates an electric company that provides 30% of our power. And then we have about another 50 to so percent, that even up to 60%, that we have a preferred contract with what's called Bonneville Power, which is on the Columbia River. So it's also hydropower.
Oh, cool.
And then we are about to break ground on our peaking plant,
Oh, okay.
which means when power runs short, it'll be during a really cold time or really hot time of year.
Yeah.
We'll be able to use the peaking plant. So think of peak. So we'll be able to use that to moderate our power, so we won't have to go out to the market. We'll be able to generate our own power through our peaking plant.
Okay.
So we do have our power infrastructure. We have been able to. We have redundancy. So we are good with power, and we do have very low rates, half
Yes.
of what the national average is. So we have very low rates. We're good with our sewer. We're only about 60% capacity, so we're good with sewer. Our streets, we continue to widen, which helps with capacity. We also have an engineer, a traffic engineer who can help coordinate lights. So there's lots of little things that the city is doing. And then once again, the regional response with Bonneville County has been improving so much in the last few years and continues to get better and better. So I think it will, just everybody pulling in the same direction is going to make it so that it doesn't feel overwhelming.
And it sounds like you've been doing this type of thing. You've been involved in the community for a long time, like we said. And so you understand how Bonneville County works. You probably have communicated even with Ammon. And that was one of the questions I had, is sometimes there's a rivalry between Ammon and Idaho Falls, or even Bonneville and Idaho Falls, like which is better, which is cheaper, where should you live? And I'm just kind of curious, what kind of collaboration would you do as mayor with Bonneville County and maybe Ammon?
So it's a great question, and I do have those relationships with them now. We have a regional traffic plan that we have all adopted, and we talk with Mayor Brian Powell about getting data sets so that we can layer the data and see, well, this is what happened 5 years ago, and where is the growth going, and we can manage it better, both with Bonneville County and Ammon and Idaho Falls. So I don't see as much of the rivalry in the leadership positions. I think it's about communication and being transparent and open with each other.
How are those relationships built in the first place? Is it just, are there combined meetings with the county?
No, there will be. If I'm the mayor, there will be those combined meetings.
Okay.
They haven't happened for several years. I think it was just some personalities, but I do think that there have been projects that have been moving forward with the county in the last few years. Those relationships are mending. Roger Christensen is a good friend of mine. He was a county commissioner. I have good relationships with the three new. Well, there's two new and one that has been there for a while too. So good relationships with them. So I think that and the staff both staffs really have good working relationships as well.
Great. Now, this is kind of the biggest question. This is like what I think we can sum our interview up into this one question a lot of people are wondering is, what is your personal opinion on what Idaho Falls' biggest concern or issue is, and what would you do to address it as mayor?
Growth. No question. Growth is the biggest concern. People want to know, So I say that growth is the biggest concern, and people want to know that it's being managed properly. Okay. So it's information, actually, that I would say has been interesting to see in the campaign. So people are concerned about police and fire, and the assumption is that we're growing, so crime is going up. But that's not accurate. Crime is actually going down in Idaho Falls. So it's about getting out accurate information and good information and timely information. They expect, I think it's a well-deserved criticism that people are not getting their news in a traditional, maybe 20 year ago traditional manner. And so there has to be other ways to get information out so that growth that comes and people see like, oh, they are going to widen this road next. And what's the next road to get widened? And how are they coordinating with Ammon? How are they coordinating with Bonneville County? Are they, are we short on power? Those are the kind of questions that cause people concern. And so I think it's about both, just getting it out there and being more, it's more communicative with the community.
And along those lines, I'm actually interested in this because there's times where people, the Life in Idaho Falls group on Facebook, that's where all the chat
I
and drama
actually
is.
leave it. I leave it behind me that way. Yeah.
But a lot of people on there will say, what is being built in this area? What
Yes.
is happening here? Why is there road construction? What kind of communication can Idaho Falls provide the community so that we are aware of what's going on?
Yes, it's so great because actually that information can be found on the city website, but people don't. They don't know it, and it needs to be pushed out.
Sure.
Instead of expecting people to come and look on the website, which may or may not be difficult to maneuver. It's just not easier. It's better for a community to have the information pushed out.
Yeah. What would that look like? Like letters, cell phone, text, or like
all of the above.
Okay.
It could be all of it. We can figure that out. It can be all of it, and it can be in person. The city coming into neighborhoods. There are great messaging tools, whether that's flyers, block parties, more community events, more pushed out emails, more pushed out text messages. I think that the city just has to get our arms around it and push that.
Yeah, it's something that I would like to see. I know I lived in the numbered streets for a long time, and we got a notification. I think it was in the letter, like, "Hey, we're going to be working on the pipes," and that was really helpful to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just curious if there would be more communication if you became mayor.
Yes,
so.
there would be more communication. So it's interesting. You would get a letter that would say we were working on the pipes, but it would be nice then 2 days before they came to work on the pipes, if there was a door hanger
Sure,
that said, right?
yeah.
Like, oh, now they are here.
Sure.
And there's got to be
Yeah.
that reminder. We are so busy.
Yeah.
And I include myself in that. We're busy. And so
Sure.
it's like, oh, that's right. They were coming to do this.
Sure.
So I think it's just being more aware.
Also, growth can be very exciting. So if we got, something that a lot of people really want is like a Trader Joe's. And so if we got enough population for Trader Joe's to come to Idaho Falls, it would be cool to have like an announcement, hey, this is
Yes.
coming to town. And then you could build excitement. It's not always going to be a heavy topic.
That's what I agree. Yes. Yeah. We're opening this. All of that stuff. And we have so many regional partners, community partners, Chamber of Commerce being a great one. They are really active in the city again. And so we have partners that we can push out their information and our information. The other thing, as you say it though, people want an activity center.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
An indoor rec center.
Yeah.
Not a gym, not a traditional gym, but a multi-generational activity center is something that this community has wanted for a long time. And it's something that I have made part of my platform to really work towards.
That's exciting.
So
this is just my last question for
Okay.
you. What is something that you're looking forward to the most in what is to come in Idaho Falls?
I'm not trying to stop the growth, because the city of Idaho Falls has many communities around us, and if we tried to stop the growth, we would get crushed. We would, so I want to grow with the growth. I am excited to expand the river corridor so that we have walking paths that connect Heritage Park and Ryder Park with what is already built downtown. So expand the river corridor with growth, expand our park system with growth, expand the trail system. But you have to use growth in order to get those expansions. So that's what I look forward to doing, is making sure, even just the road system. I actually, as an engineer, I love construction sites. I love seeing what they're doing. And it's important that we grow with it. And otherwise we will lose what is important and special about Idaho Falls.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really
Yes.
appreciate your time
I
and
appreciate you
energy put in
being
towards
willing.
this interview.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you took away some key points from each candidate. If you have any questions about this race, about Idaho Falls, again, my name is Annika Wilder. Please give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions that you might have. And don't you forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat when I put out a new video like this every single week. We'll see you next time. Bye.